Welcome to another Digital Punks episode, your one-step destination for music, NFTs, and Web3. This is a special episode because we've got our first artist with us, and it's none other than TK. TK is a singer, creator, songwriter, producer, entrepreneur, and is regarded as an instrumental mover in the music NFT space, while also exploring immersive technology to build fan experiences. His first music NFT release was the track Heaven on Earth in March 2022, which is about the power of your imagination. His Eternal Garden edition, consisting of 7 tracks accompanied with an audiovisual experience, came out in November last year, and he utilized the sound protocol, and it sold out. 700 editions in total. Wow. It follows the story of Caius, an angel cast out of heaven by the goddess Flora. NTK has also founded Campfire, a music creators guild and community for innovators.
Love it. We're really thrilled to have TK on today with us to talk about the past, present, and what the future holds. We really hope that this conversation inspires artists to join the space, experiment, and fans to join to become collectors, supporters of an artist, and to really follow their musical journey. We also do hope that it provides transparency to the fan experiences artists are trying to build, which are forming this new world of Web3 and music. So let's dive right in. Let's go.
Let's go.
As we just said in the introduction, we got TK with us. And we'll start with the first question. TK, tell us a bit about yourself, how you grew up, what music influenced your upbringing.
Yeah, my name is TK. I'm a singer, songwriter, and producer based in Los Angeles, California. Also a multi-instrumentalist. I had a very diverse musical upbringing, I would say. I spent my early childhood living in the UK, actually. So, I grew up on a lot of early 2000s pop music, Cher, Madonna, S Club 7, Robbie Williams, Westlife, that whole era of music for sure. But then, obviously a lot of R&B stuff like Brandy, Craig David, legends like Michael Jackson, Coldplay, the Beatles, things of that nature. So had a very kind of Eurocentric, I would say, like upbringing when it came to music initially. Also was like very inspired by Disney movies. So the entire laundry list, Lion King, all the ones you could think of. Sister Act 2 was a big one for me as well. But I initially so I always had this kind of passion for music just based on the just what was entertaining me. But my mom was also a singer in church, and so that was kind of my that's what sparked the interest for me wanting to kind of be a singer in the first place. And so when I moved to the US at around 10 years old, that's when I started getting exposed to, other genres of music, specifically hip hop, legends like Eminem, Jay-Z, Nas, a lot of like Southern hip hop music as well. At the same time, like the neighborhood I was living in, all my friends were listening to alternative rock music. So Linkin Park, Green Day, My Chemical Romance. I went through that entire phase. And, just in those early years, I was incubated with this very kind of diverse understanding of music. And so when I started to kind of pursue this passion in school, I was in everything that you can think of as a child. I grew up in PG County, Maryland. So, very affluent, like Black county, one of the most affluent Black counties in America. And, everything musical that I could do in school, I was doing. So I was in concert choir, gospel choirs, concert bands, jazz band, marching band, anything that I could do musically throughout school for 12 years I was doing. So studying the classical, performing, and fine arts, but then also in performing arts troops where I'm traveling the country, singing and dancing, performing songs from everywhere from the 1940s and 50s up until like present day. So very, very extensive music background in terms of like application and study and just really immersing myself in, my own personal crafts. So yeah, those are the early days for sure.
That's a very interesting cocktail. So we've got
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, we've got us Westlife. You said we've got
Oh yeah.
Sister Act.
Hmm.
So different, like even My Chemical Romance, alternative rock. How did that come together? Like, can you like describe your creative process when you write new music?
Yeah. So, I guess to go more into the story, when I was 15, I started a band called Cloud9, and we just started it just to win a talent show. But I just kind of walked around school and I was like hand picking people that I knew were really talented in my school to be a part of it. So, our drummer came from like gospel music, right? And our pianist came from classical, but also like R&B, piano covers. And me kind of having like um, a very diverse and eclectic like understanding of music, I was able to like understand where all of my different band members were coming from, their musical perspectives, and then ultimately put all of those different genres into a song. And so over the years, I taught myself how to play 4 instruments, and I had to be very eclectic and diverse, and do a lot of genre bending just to make music, not only for myself but for my band as well, and then translate that to a live stage where we could actually perform. And so, yeah, I've been on a very interesting path of self discovery when it comes to music, because I love so many different genres of music, and when you make so many different styles of music, it can be difficult to find cohesion. So a lot of my early stuff, I mean, it was amazing. Some of the best music I made was like so out there, right? Like it could be like a huge alternative song with like a trap breakdown or something like that. It was always like, um, I wouldn't say avant-garde because it was definitely digestible, but it's always like a journey that I would say. So, all of those skills really help me out now because I write my own music, I produce my own music, I play, most pretty much all the instruments on my songs, and it was definitely like, good musical training for just being an all-around musical mind and producer.
Love it. Is there any certain instrument you always start with, or is it the vocals?
Um, it all starts in my mind for sure. Like
Hmm.
I've reached a point where I don't typically sit down at my desk or make music if I don't already have an idea. Like I went through my phase of exploration where I'm like, yo, I'm just sitting at my desk all day trying to find new sounds. I'm messing with different stuff. Like, oh, what's that doing? Now I have more of a mature mindset and understanding of, you know, even just the vocabulary of what sounds are, what they sound like, what different things sound like, etc. So, um, now it usually starts with me hearing a melody and a chord progression. Usually the first thing I'll do is sit down at the piano. If I can get a song to sound good with just me and a piano or me and a guitar, then I know it's a good song regardless of how much additional production or, bells and whistles go into creating the full record. And so, yeah, typically it's me and a piano, but sometimes I might hear like a drum groove or something, and that might be the first thing that I start. I really love probably making drums. I have to admit now is probably my favorite thing. And so, oftentimes I might just start with the drum loop itself and then
Hmm.
kind of discover the rest of the melody and the progression from there. But, sometimes that's difficult because it's like
Yeah.
there's so many options. So that's a little bit of my workflow, I would say.
I think that's also the beauty of it, right? Because
Mhm.
musical creation, like Lucas and myself, we're also musicians, and the process is not linear. It's never linear, right? And I think
Mhm.
if it is for you, if it is not for you, then you open yourself up to different, stimulants from that you're picking up around from your surroundings, from other music, like being influenced from peers around you, that really feed into that whole process. So if you don't mind, like maybe that's also a good bridge because in like Web3 and blockchain technology, which you're also very, very big on and you're
Mhm.
embracing, how did that start for you? Was there like a particular experience that made you decide to enter this space?
Yeah. So basically, I'll go back a little bit just to kind of tell you how I got here. So in 2014, I entered a songwriting competition through Guitar Center, and out of 30,000 applicants, I made it to the top 10. So they flew me. Thank you so much. They flew me out to LA. It was my first time being in LA, experiencing all that kind of stuff. More or less came in second place for the competition. They gave me like, $25,000 worth of free musical equipment. And that was really I was already doing a lot of like great things within just like my local music community and, kind of bubbling on the internet. But that was my first time actually traveling out to LA and seeing like, the glitz and glam of everything. So I was manifesting like I need to move to LA. I need to be out there and, really take my musical career to the next level. So the following year, I moved out to LA. I was writing and producing for Will Smith, Jaden Smith, Willow Smith. Then I started working with Diane Warren, who was like one of the greatest songwriters of all time. And that led to me working with people like Rihanna, The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, Big Sean, like really huge artists. And so I loved all of it. Like it was amazing kind of getting thrown into the fire my first few years in LA. But just through being in different sessions with different labels and things of that nature, I started to see how artists and creatives were treated within the music industry. Typically, and I had very favorable situations, but even within those, typically we are, the last to get paid and we get paid the least, right? So, I being an artist and understanding my worth, I very much so prefer to work on my own personal music, and so I focused more on producing and writing for independent artists as my main source of income. And so, over the years, things were like pretty good. I continued to like kind of grow as an individual artist, putting songs out, gaining more and more fans. But I still wasn't making any money. I still didn't feel like I could be my true self as an artist because I was trying to fit myself within this algorithm of social media. And so, fast forward to 2020, I was on tour in Australia. And, at this point, I probably had like, 150,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Nothing too crazy, but not too shabby, right?
Absolutely. True.
I was getting ready to go on tour later on that year with the Free Nationals, which is Anderson .Paak's band. And the pandemic happened and it shut everything down. And, a lot of people were like, oh, I'm going to take this time to like lock in the studio and just work on music. And for me, I'm like, listen, I've been doing that my entire life. Yeah. So I'm actually going to not do that. I'm actually going to, just take a break, reset my mind, try to get into some other things, find some other interests, see where I can like make some money that I can maybe even reinvest into my career. And so me and my best friend just started buying crypto. We bought some Ethereum, but most importantly, we bought Dogecoin. And we bought sorry about that. We bought Dogecoin at about half a penny. And we all know what happened with that. That went up to like 75 cents at one point. And so I'm watching these numbers go up and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like what we're making, like, I put like, we didn't barely put, we put a little bit of money, like maybe a few hundred dollars, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And we're just watching the money go up and up and up. And so because of that, I started to get even more like interested in crypto and, started meeting people within the crypto community. And one day I went to like a flea market and I met this guy named Gabriel. And he's like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a musician, yada, yada, yada. He's like, okay, well, I'm in crypto. And me, I'm like, oh, I'm in crypto too. Like, we should definitely talk about it. So we ended up having a meeting and he's like, yeah, do you know what MetaMask is? Do you know what Zora is? And I'm like, no, I have no idea what any of these platforms are. Because exactly, because at this time I was only trading positions. I didn't understand like having a wallet, right? Or like owning your keys and everything that made crypto and NFTs like real. And so he really was like my onboarding, my real onboarding to the space. He really just kind of gave me names of platforms, and I just took it upon myself to really dive in and like learn, because I had already understood like NFTs, but I hated them because I thought it was all just like CryptoPunks and Bored Apes. No disrespect to those legendary projects, but I didn't know that there was more than that, right? So to wrap this part up, I immersed myself in learning about crypto and NFTs. I was a part of Gabriel's DAO, which is called Mochi. It's like an accountability DAO, basically. And within my group, I was also in a group with other music NFT people. One of them, his name is Halik Mall. He ended up selling 4 songs on catalog for $235,000. Now, before he did that, I was already in my mind like, yo, I would love to make music NFTs, and I didn't know people were doing that. But I just was dragging my feet, and when I saw him do it, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I want to do for sure. So ever since then, I was locked in. Started joining the Discords and the Telegram groups, and got back on Twitter, and I built Exactly. I started a platform called Afro Zero, which highlights Black and Indigenous people of color in the Web3 space. That was like kind of my community builder, introducing Web3 to other people that weren't aware. And then the rest is history. I dropped my first music NFT on Sound called Heaven on Earth on March 1st, 2022. And it's been an incredible ride since then.
Love it. So perfect transition to the next part. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Eternal Garden and your long-term vision for it?
Oh man, yeah. So Eternal Garden right now is like, that's my baby. It was created because I had so much success in the Web3 space throughout the year, and I wanted to, we're kind of writing this blueprint for what it looks like to be an artist in Web3 and Web2, and so I wanted to kind of take my success in Web3 and leverage that in a Web2 sense. So we wanted to release music consistently on streaming platforms, but then also figure out how we could roll it out in Web3 without me like kind of jumping back and forth. And so that's how Eternal Garden came to be. We decided like, okay, let's do an NFT collection overall. We'll release these songs every 3 or 4 weeks on Spotify, and pretty much go from there. So man, Eternal Garden, the entire process in itself was like insane. I was like, okay, it's going to be 7 songs. Let's do 100 NFTs of each song. And like, let's just make this a success. Let's do something legendary, something that other people haven't done before. And so, we sold out 700 music NFTs in 7 days, starting November 25th, ending December 2nd. We don't need to go into the whole, every nook and cranny of Eternal Garden necessarily, but definitely a great body of work. Visually appealing. It follows a story, like a very ancient story of this angel named Caius who comes down to Earth to terraform the world, and there's like a struggle between humans and angels and demons. It's a whole thing. But in terms of like the vision for it, we see a lot of projects that kind of happen in the NFT space. They take everybody's money and then they kind of run away. And I'm a world builder, and I like to bring people into the worlds that I am creating. And so, I definitely made a pledge to continue to build out the world of Eternal Garden, and continue to roll it out in Web 2 and Web 3 for the foreseeable future. And so so far we've dropped the NFT collection. There's merch on the way. I have an Eternal Garden sample pack. I don't know when this is going to air, so it might be out by then. But an Eternal Garden sample pack where there's 200 sounds from the album that if you are an artist or a producer, you can own and use in your own music. But then also, if you're just an NFT collector, you can just buy that token and hold on to that token, because obviously it's valuable as well. Obviously more music releases, more visual content. I said merch already. There's a lot of different experiences. Like probably roll out a social token. We launched the first Web3 digital street team called Pedal
Mm-hmm.
Power, where if you are a if you're anybody, if you're a music fan in general, right, and you have any type of understanding of crypto, you can earn crypto every single day simply by posting one TikTok a day that
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
is a TK content piece. So there's a lot of different initiatives and mini worlds and experiences that we're building underneath the Eternal Garden umbrella. And hopefully people will continue to immerse themselves in the world and take it to the next level. So I'm excited.
Oh, that's super, super interesting. I mean, like just hearing you speak about everything that you're building, right? Your collection, which is great. You're big into concept art and telling stories, right? Storytelling is a big aspect. And you really want people to be part of this experience. I think all of these things that you're doing, right? And also getting them organized, that they're coming out like one after another, and it makes sense as a whole piece. That must also be like there must be like some challenges that you also face along the way, right? Like in community building, and you're having your collectors connect with you, and keeping them engaged, etc. Like what are some of the challenges that you've faced so far, bringing your vision into the community?
Yeah, I think from that perspective, it's really just bandwidth. Like
Mhm.
we have the ideas, the ideas are they're ever flowing. It's just a matter of, we have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
How do I maximize my time to create content, to create ideas, to execute upon these ideas, to make them digestible enough for the everyday person to
Mm.
understand, and then to actually distribute these concepts or these ideas to people. So, I break it down to like, creation, curation, and then distribution.
Mhm, mhm.
And it probably comes down to the distribution aspect is like, I have to wake up, I don't work a 9 to 5. I don't do anything like that. Right. So I have to wake up every day, motivate myself to show up,
Mhm.
for myself first and foremost, but then show up for
Right.
my community and understand that there are people that are deeply invested in what I'm building. And it's my duty to make sure that I'm upholding my end of the bargain. So in terms of challenges, I mean, it's like depends on how much like I want to make complaints, I guess, right?
Right.
It's like it's what I signed up for. But I think it's just for the grind of an independent artist is um for the most part you're doing things by yourself. I'm grateful to have an amazing team and Lottie and Aiden
Mm.
and Laura and Meg, but at the end of the day, like they move as I move. And if I don't wake up every day motivated and showing up, then I
Mhm.
can't expect them to as well. So I would say that that's like the main challenge. Nothing like specific. It's just like, that grind of
Right.
staying on point. So yeah.
Makes sense.
So, so speaking of motivating yourself every day, I know, or we know, you've released visual AR on Emuse last year.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, again, a new technology. So motivating yourself also means trying out new things, new technologies, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's kind of the fun part of it all is I'm blessed to get a lot of opportunities from different platforms, startups, founders, just to try things out, right? And there's so much
Mm.
innovation that's happening at the intersection of music and technology. And I'm a nerd. I grew up like on computers and watching anime and all of the above. So I get really excited about that stuff, and thankfully, I have good enough music, good enough art, and concepts that I can usually help take those products to the next level. And so, yeah, but it definitely has like it takes confidence, right? Because a lot of
Mm.
these things, I'm the first one to ever do it or to ever try it, and so
Mm-hmm.
there's always the potential to fall flat on your face in front of everybody, but you have to be willing to fail if you want to have successes. Like people only ever talk about Eternal Garden selling out 700 NFTs and earning
Mhm.
38 ETH and being, the biggest drop on sound protocol by a solo artist and all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody
Mhm.
talks about like I did a Heaven on Earth crowdfund, right, last year that completely flopped. Like I was trying to raise 30 ETH and I raised zero point 0.2 ETH. You know what I mean? Like, people don't talk about those things. They don't talk about like the, you know, the different kind of endeavors that you go through, or the different experiments that you try that
Right.
like nobody cares about, or you didn't market correctly, or basically just wasn't a good idea, right? And so I've accepted that everything is not going to work, but as long as I show up in the way that I need to show up, most of the time my ideas and my work ethic is strong enough to make, you know, those ideas a success. And so yeah, it definitely takes confidence to be one of those people to try things out first, especially when it's not all in your control. In a different, you know, if someone has a platform, right, I can also only move as they move. And so there's a lot that goes into that process.
Yeah, I think that's also a really, everyone who's listening, a really important message to each musician out there, right? That, you know, you got to trust the process. You got to trust the music creation process. There's going to be a lot of setbacks. Sometimes you'll find yourself grinding away and you don't see results right away, but it's so worth it once you really dig through this wall that is building up in front of you and all these challenges. And then you find, just like on sound.xyz, right? You find the gold neck and you're like, wow, so this is what I've been looking for the whole time. It's now working out. People are following me, you know, and they like my music. They give me feedback back. So we're just really appreciative of, you know, artists like you that are embracing this new technology, are trying augmented reality experiences. Like you said, there's not a lot of that are doing it, right? And you gotta start somewhere. And I think once we're immersing ourselves in, and we are one of these generations, you know, also with Gen Z growing up, that is really interested in these immersive experiences, and augmented reality is a great way to really bring people on board. There's a company called Pixelinix. Not sure if you heard about them, right? And they've built this platform that has also like music experience, and they did this scavenger hunt that they had going on in Miami, and you could, like, when you were in this immersive experience, you could also win an NFT. So it's like this, they also driving engagement, and it's a fan experience. Like, do you also see that like as an instrument for musical concerts in the future, in your future, that you use augmented reality to kind of bring people into a more immersive experience at the concert?
Yeah, I am a huge fan of AR first and foremost. Like you said, Lucas, I did a release on Amuse for Heaven on Earth, and they created this. I mean, you can still actually go get it. They created literally the world of Heaven on Earth, just in, you know, in an AR space. You can hold your phone up, you can see it above you, below you, everything, and it's a really immersive experience. And like, as an artist, it's hard not to take it for granted, because, you know, I work, that's what I do this for, right? Is to create these larger than life experiences for the fans. And so big fan of that. Pixel Links, yeah, I'm actually I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it is what it is. I'm gonna be one of their you know, one of their artists for their new launch. And so I'm super excited about that. Awesome. And
Congrats.
yeah, they have some really incredible technology over there where, you know, it's like geolocation, show up to certain places, and you can experience certain AR. It's like basically like how Pokemon Go was, but you know, for music, and that's really special. I think for concerts, it's like, it's a no-brainer. You know, if there is a specific experience that you have that maybe some people, if they have the AR experience, they can hold their phone up or their Google glasses and experience the concert in a whole different way. I think that's going to be you know, an incredible kind of advancement in technology. I also think there's potential for AR virtual concerts as well, where, you know, you can shoot an entire concert, right? And you can put somebody in the you know, kind of in the realm, you know, or in the crowd essentially, and they, you know, they can watch you as well. So there's so many different things that can be done, but I do think that AR is kind of the future of taking IRL concerts to the next level. So super excited for what's to come.
Definitely. You said it basically yourself, Web3 enables musicians to take the matters into their own hands for the first time, maybe in the digital age, and build like a more direct bridge to the fans, what you're doing perfectly, as we all see here. So a question would be, what opportunities do you see for musicians in the NFT space in the future, and how should new or musicians coming from the Web 2 world into the Web 3 world, how should they start? What would you tell them?
Yeah, two big questions. So the first one, I think Web3 more than anything is expanding the middle class economy of the music industry. Streaming was a detour from peer to peer file sharing, which I personally think was actually the right direction. We just needed the blockchain to kind of enforce, royalty payouts and stuff like that. Didn't have it at the time, but we saw that with streaming. However, there's still so few artists that are actually making a reasonable living from their music, no matter how great they are, right? So we're seeing that Web3 is allowing you to have a very small fan base, and kind of grow that fan base into a financial vehicle for yourself across the board, which is really powerful. But I think there's still so much more opportunity for artists and creators to make money within Web3 through kind of expanding, or I should say diversifying, the market. So right now it's like NFTs, right? Which is like you're spending a considerable amount of money, even $10, $20, $50, $100 could be a lot of money to somebody, right? But there's also like microtransactions where you can pay per stream to listen to somebody's song, right? And that's all done on chain. Artists are paid immediately as people are listening to their music. They're literally watching their numbers go up, as opposed to how things are right now, where you get X number of streams and then you wait for the DSP to give you your revenue share or market share that goes to your distributor. You wait 3 months and then you get your money, hopefully. You know what I mean? So I think there's a future in microtransactional content consumption where fans are paying for every video that they watch, right? So like every TikTok that they watch, it could be something as small as half a penny, 5 cents, right? I know that if I had to pay, pennies on the dollar for, consuming content, I would do it, because that's what that's what I do right now.
Yeah.
And so I think once that becomes the norm, we're going to see so many more artists that will start to make real incomes from their music, from their content creation, without having to have like these huge fan bases like what is currently happening today. So yeah, I think that's like major opportunity there. And then I also think, I know you didn't ask me this, but very important point is that I really want to start pushing the narrative of how fans benefit from Web3 as well, because up until now there hasn't really been a way for a fan to capitalize on or monetize their taste, right? Or their belief in an artist early on before they blew up. NFTs open up that door, because you can essentially make an investment and then say, hey, I'm hoping that this artist will blow up and that this NFT will become so much more valuable one day. But ultimately, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so that is still a bet on the entire NFT space, Web3 space, becoming more than what it is right now. What I can tell you right now is that the blockchain does allow for artists to incentivize their fans in other ways. So, for example, Pedal Power, my street team, like I talked about earlier, right? Like I'm literally paying fans in crypto to share my content to TikTok. So there are so many opportunities like that are starting to develop in the Web3 space, that I think fans that are in Web2 are going to be looking over it like fans in Web3, like, yo, how are you making this amount of money, every day or every week or every month, just by being a fan of an artist? Like, it's crazy, right? So there's that. And then to what you asked about, artists that are just getting into Web3,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a group chat earlier today, and someone was like, "What's the quickest and easiest way to onboard somebody?" And everybody was like, "Onboarding is a journey. It's not something that happens
Yeah.
like in a day or two, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly learning about the space, and then once you feel like you've learned all there is to learn, which is basically impossible, you start to create, right? And you start to
Mhm.
innovate, and you start to have these conversations. And so the first thing that I always tell people is just get educated, like, and it doesn't have to be a tedious task, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can immerse yourself in communities and just meet cool people and just have
Mhm.
conversations. That's how I did it. You can start off by building something. Don't think about like, oh, how do I make the most amount of money right now? Just think
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
how can I build something that is useful for me, could be useful for other people. And in building that thing, you will learn so much of what you need to learn to actually be successful in the space.
Mhm.
And once you've gotten enough of an education, because first of all, education is important because there's actually money at
Yeah.
stake, right? So like even when you're paying gas fees to test things out, like every mistake is going to cost you for sure, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you know what you're doing. And once you've been immersed enough in the community, you really understand Web3, why it's good for literally everybody involved. Then it's time to say, okay, well, hey, this is who I am, like as an artist or as an entrepreneur, as a business person. And like these are the values I believe in. This is why I think it makes sense for Web3 or crypto. This is my project, and this is why you should give me money, right, to continue doing this. And I think if you kind of follow those steps, then by the time you get to the point of like really rolling out your project and letting people know who you are, you should have garnered enough support and respect throughout, the Web3 space, but even just like the internet in general, that people will say, hey, I'm willing to take a bet on this person. I'm willing to, throw some ETH at this person, and hopefully you'll find success there. But more than anything, whether or not you are quote unquote successful or not, I think it's really just a matter of enjoying
Mhm.
uh, the advent of a new era, right? And being a part of a new future. And yeah, just I imagine what it was like to be at the beginning of the internet, right? And
Mhm.
how exciting
Yeah,
that was. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, stay in the
definitely.
moment, enjoy what we're building, and we're gonna look back at this and be like, yo, that was crazy that we were there for the beginning of this. So yeah.
Absolutely agree. That was beautiful. I
Absolutely. Yeah.
could not agree
Goosebumps
more.
here.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Like, what are some of the lessons that you've learned that you'd like to share with other artists that are entering
Hmm.
the space? What should they put emphasis on when they're entering? Is there something specific that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to the last thing that I said. I think
Right.
um, don't get discouraged, man. Like that's kind of, I know that's, I mean, I guess that's a lesson.
Hmm.
It feels like
Mm-hmm.
more advice, but don't get discouraged. I feel like I come from a different place because I had so much of what I guess is necessary to be successful in Web3. I've been kind of training myself on throughout my life without necessarily knowing it. And so, one thing that I see a lot is, artists will launch something, it doesn't work out, they get discouraged, they're like,
Hmm.
I'm out of here, I don't want to be in Web3 anymore, right? But I think like don't get discouraged. I think a lesson I learned is ask questions,
Mm.
right? Be humble, be willing to learn and ask questions. And um yeah, that was a big one. I had another one that I kind of forgot. Oh, this one is huge. This one's really big. Figure out where you can provide value,
Mm.
because in this
Mm-hmm.
space there's only so many of us that are here, right?
Right.
From an artist perspective, like being an artist and also being a founder of a few projects, um, we're always in a space where we're asking people of things, right? Hey, can you buy
Hmm.
my NFT? Can you support my crowdfund? Can you do XYZ? But I learned that in life, you can get anything that you want if you are willing to provide value to that person or to those people, right? So before you ask for anything, figure out how you can help make someone else's life easier, or how you can
Mm.
help grow someone else's project or grow their business. And all of those seeds that you're sowing, uh, you'll be able to harvest them one day, right? And you'll reap what you sow for sure. It'll all come back to you, most definitely. That's probably my number one thing. Like once I changed my mindset to, all right, let me not figure out what I can get from this person, but what value I can add to them. I started to get everything that I wanted, it's just, I think it's just it's a nature of, it's a universe. Like it's the nature of life. Like you have to put out to get to receive, I think. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I learned through just being in Web3 in general. And it's completely changed like my life and my view on, business and everything. So I'm grateful for it.
That totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
And how important do you regard community building in Web3 in order to be successful? I mean, okay, you give and then you get, but how important is community building in all of that?
Yeah, it's everything. To me, it's everything. And I know that people say it's a buzzword. I know that people say like, oh, it's not necessary, or it's not my personality, or this, that, and the third. Thankfully, I have a personality for community building. It comes very natural to me just based on my background and how I came up. But there's different ways to community build. Like you can build a community without necessarily having to show up every single day, right? If you create something that's super impactful and it gets other people talking, right, then you've built a community, whether you know it or whether you like it or not. So it's really, community building is really everything, because in this space, it's like, I don't know if osmosis is the word, but it's like everything is contagious. That's the word I'm looking for. It's like one person likes something, and if someone is really excited about something in Web3, they will tell somebody else, and that person will tell somebody else. It's not like in Web2 where sometimes you kind of just hold on to things yourself. People talk in the space, right? So if you build something really beautiful or really useful, or if you're willing to show up every day and have these conversations, people will continue to talk to each other about you or about your project or what what you're building. And eventually you'll look back and be like, wow, so many of these people know me, so many of the people support what I'm doing. And I think that's where you'll start to find some success in the projects that you're releasing. And so I think community building is huge. I've met so many incredible people in the Web3 space, probably people that I'll be friends with forever. And these are all people that I didn't know a year ago, 2 years ago, right? And these are now like lifelong friends that I'm literally building the future with. And so I'm grateful for Web3 even fostering the environment for community building in general. And I'm excited to see how that continues to grow.
Is there a project in the music NFT space that you can think of that you particularly like? And if anything comes to your mind, which one and why?
There are so many projects that I love. Great. And I hope I can name all of them right now, but
let's go.
Yeah, so goodness gracious. So I'll do like full projects, because obviously there's so many like just music NFTs that I love, right? Rio Cragen, he released a project called Frameworks, which is a really incredible music NFT project. That wasn't the first, but was one of the first kind of just music NFT projects that had like really really great art, really great music, an entire very cohesive like concept and like brand surrounding it, with interesting like mint schedules and or what's the word I'm looking for? Phases, mint phases and things of that nature. Danger Zone by Ibn Inglor is a really great one. He's been rolling that out for like 2 years, right? So it's been like, or he's continuing to roll it out for like the next year and a half. And on Sound, that was like a weekly release of stuff. Presessence by Domino is like a really powerful project to me. It was one of the first music NFT collections to launch on OpenSea, and that was like a pioneer project for music NFTs as well. Man, I'm trying to think. This is something that I think about all day. And then when it comes time to
There's so many,
being
yeah.
asked.
It's like
you
going
know,
to
I
a
just,
festival and someone asks which bands
Who
did
do you
you
want to
see?
see?
yeah, it's like, yo, come on, be serious. So many. There's so many. Eternal Garden. Eternal Garden is a really great one. You should check
That's
that
a great
out.
one.
You know,
Oh yeah.
I should do a thread. I'll do a thread where I'll like name all my favorite projects so far. But yeah, there's not only like music NFT projects. There's also like visual projects. Like Loser Club, for example,
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, one of, if not my favorite PFP project, and that's by Javon, who's also an incredible artist, MC, rapper, and you know, it's dope to see people that can really kill it on both sides, on the visual side and the music side as well. So Loser Club, I'm a huge fan, and you know, a part of that community as well. So it's hard to name all of them, but there's so many incredible projects in the space.
If you write a thread on it, we'll put the link in the show notes so people can check your
Amazing.
thread out, and then
Fire. That'll be
see it.
dope. That'll be dope for sure.
All right. I think we're coming to the final questions, which are a bit more personal, so people get to know who TK is outside of music. So one of those questions would be, do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I have a lot. You know, I grew up like kind of just being really, I have an obsessive personality. So like really immersing in a lot of different things. First and foremost, I'm a basketball fanatic. So I
Which
watch,
team?
I'm a Warriors fan. I'm a Warriors fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dallas
Steph
Mavericks
Curry.
here.
Hey, congratulations. Congrats. You just got Kyrie, you know,
Yeah,
even though
I saw the Telegram chat you guys were doing about it.
but you got you got to tap in. You got to say some stuff in there, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Warriors fan, huge Steph Curry fan. I really love just his personality, his demeanor, the way he goes about, you know, being a master of his craft, and the humility, but also the arrogance around it as well. Yeah. Huge fan of that. So I wake up every day and listen to Sports Center and First Take, and you know, I follow all the narratives. I'm a big gamer. I've been a gamer since I was a kid. I'm always, if I'm not making music, I'm gaming probably. So
what kind of games?
Current favorite game?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's two different questions. So I mean,
it's getting hot now.
In terms of like what my favorite game is, like I'm very big into RPGs. So you know, my favorite franchises are like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Legend of Zelda. Even like Mario games, like, you know, like huge game franchises for me. But I love everything. I love first person shooters. I love puzzle games. I love strategy games. Right now, I don't have as much time to like a game as I used to, so I pretty much stick to playing Super Smash Brothers and Fortnite. Those are kind of my bread and butter. Nice. Like when I'm done working throughout the day, I just turn the game on, and I just like, I'm really good. I'm like semi-pro basically. So,
nice. So when TK Fortnite concert?
I'm saying like I'm ready to go. I was just watching Kid Leroy's concert, and it was great. So you know, I'm excited. I'm sure those opportunities will come up for sure. But you know, I play those just to kind of fry my brain after a long day of thinking. I play tennis. I've been playing tennis since like high school. Yeah, I'm like, you know, I used to play like USTA like tournaments and stuff. So I'm pretty good. I would say I'm like college level tennis player, even though I'm a little rusty at this point.
Yeah, but you would still smash us all against the wall, probably.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And
do you ever sleep?
Listen, you can kind of see the bags under my eyes right now. I'm like, I'm just trying to get through at this point. But yeah, and then I'm really big into like philosophy. I would say it's like I'm very big into like just the studies of the human condition, you know, the meaning of life, things like that. So I'm big, like I love like Alan Watts and, you know, Abraham Hicks and, you know, people like that, you know, Eckhart Tolle, you know, people that have really inspiring and thought-provoking kind of perspectives on the world. And you know, I'm not an avid reader, but I will go on YouTube and just listen like all the time. So yeah, I have a lot of different interests, you know, most of them exist in the kind of digital realm, tech space
Right.
for sure. But
Yeah.
thankfully, being a musician is what I love to do more than anything, and I get to spend most of my time building my music career. And so I never feel like I'm working. I'm always working, but it's
Yeah.
it's never a job, I would say. So
That's good.
I
Yeah.
love it. Mm-hmm.
And has AI helped you a little bit to automate some processes?
Listen, I feel like you already know the answer to that question.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've been diving deep into the AI rabbit hole these last few months, starting with visual art. Eternal Garden, half of the artwork from Eternal Garden is actually AI generated. So a lot of people know me to be a prompt wizard. I'm really great with prompts. I basically did like AI backgrounds for the Eternal Garden artwork, and then I had Carrie, my graphic designer, create 3D assets
Right.
to sit on top of it. But I'm heavy on Dolly, heavy on Midjourney, getting into Stable Diffusion, trying to learn animation using Deforum. And so that's like the kind of visual side of things. And I've been creating so much incredible like art on that end. And then ChatGPT is my personal assistant, and she and I are getting closer and closer every day.
What's your name?
I don't know. I have to give her own name. But like, I've even like connected ChatGPT to Siri on my phone. Like
there you go.
it's a whole thing. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited about those AI processes. Right now I'm in the process of training an AI to essentially act on my behalf. So help me with my content output,
Right.
help me with creating content, all of the above. So I'm definitely big on the AI wave, and then I know AI music is slowly being rolled out, and I'm excited to kind of dive into that. I know a lot of people are like, oh well, how's it going to replace the human? The humans making music. My perspective is that I don't care who the AI is.
Yeah.
My ideas are my ideas, right? And the things that I create are so much more different from what anybody else makes. And so, an AI can replicate, right? It can aggregate, it can't innovate. And so for me, it's like, as long as I can continue to think beyond what is like presently available to us, then I'll always be a step ahead. On the other side of things, I study like how your brain works, right? Like you have system 1, you have system 2. So like system 1 is like very quick thinking, subconscious thinking, I would say, just getting stuff done. System 2 is very detail oriented. It's very intentional, takes a lot of time. And so your brain shifts between these two systems depending on the tasks that you're doing, right? When I'm making music, it's very much so system 1, because I'm like just kind of in the flow. I'm not thinking too much about what I need to do. I'm just creating, right? But as soon as I get to the point of like, I need to find sounds, I need to move things around, I need to get really like technical, then it shifts to system 2 and it becomes a lot less fun. So I appreciate AI because instead of me searching, 30 minutes for the right snare, I can say, give me a snare that sounds like the snare from Bad by Michael Jackson, right? And hopefully I'll get a snare that exactly sounds like what I hear in my head, and I streamline that process. And so I look at AI as a tool to be more efficient, right?
Yeah.
Streamline the time it takes from ideation to execution, and spending more time with your family, pretty much. So I'm excited for the future of artificial intelligence, and obviously I know that there are so many like terrible things that can be done with it, I'm sure.
Right.
But I'm an optimist, and I feel like as
You
long
gotta
as we
be.
have I feel like as long as we have people that are using it for the right reasons, it will outweigh people that are using it for the wrong reasons. So yeah.
Amazing.
Perfect.
So I think
It's the shrugs are like
Nothing to add there.
No, I think we could probably talk for hours, but thank you so much for coming on and telling us about your story, your upbringing, what influenced you to get into music, sharing some lessons with us, so that listeners, musicians, and also fans can have a impression of what this new technology can do for them and their life, and how it can positively impact them also along their way. So I encourage everyone to check out TK's Eternal Garden collection. It's amazing what he's building. You should get into his Discord, interact with him. There's the Pedal Power Digital Street Team, right? We'll put a link below. I think it's starting on the 13th of February, right? One day before Valentine's Day. So we'll put the link in the description so you can take a look at it and join the team.
Yeah. TK,
amazing.
Thanks so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure. And last minute is yours. Say whatever you want to the listeners, whatever you want them to know.
For sure.
Let's go.
Thank you, Chris and Lucas, for having me. For sure, I love the podcast. Appreciate you for letting me tell my story and kind of be a part of your journey as well. I'm just trying to build worlds and bring people into them. My life path is to spread, love, empathy, and unity through the art that I create. And so I'm happy to bring anybody along the journey with me. If you want to follow me on anything, all my socials are at TK the Legend. So it's TK TheLegend. And that's pretty much it, man. I hope everybody has a wonderful 2023, and definitely keep tapping into Digital Punks. They've got one of the best pods out there. So, shout out to you guys for sure.
Thanks so much for coming on. Bye, everyone.
Of course, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
We will also have another POAP drop, the second POAP drop of our Digital Punks POAP Genesis collection. This is dropping today, and you can claim it until the 5th of March. Like last time, we will also donate 50 cents per POAP minted to a music project for underprivileged children in Munich who would otherwise not have the opportunity to get musical education and learn an instrument. You can find the details how to claim the POAP in the show notes below. We would really love if you would claim this POAP, support us, and celebrate music all together.